Hello everyone, this is Crypto BitLaw back with another blockchain legal brief, and today we're going to be covering the SEC and their probes into Binance US affiliates, and Changpeng Zhao, or also popularly known as CZ, the CEO and founder of Binance. But before we dive in, if you enjoy this content, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and if you're on Twitter, you can follow us on Twitter. Our handle is at CryptoBitLaw. So with that said, let's dive right on in. Before we continue, I just want to let you know that this story is pretty detailed and pretty involved, so we're pretty much going to be going over the entire thing. And so there's a lot of going on here and a lot of moving parts. So we'll start off with the story, and then we'll do a little bit of analysis on it. So the Wall Street Journal reports that the SEC probes trading affiliates of crypto giant Binance's U.S. arm. That would be Binance US. They say the regulator is interested in trading firms with links to Binance's founder, people familiar with the probe say. It continues, before we go on, this is CZ, Changpeng Zhao. He's the founder and CEO of Binance. And Binance is the largest crypto exchange in the world. And this makes him one of the richest people in the world. So, continuing on, they say the Securities and Exchange Commission is examining the relationship between the U.S. arm of Binance, the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange, and two trading firms with ties to Binance's founder, people familiar with the probe say. The two trading firms, Sigma Chain AG and Merit Peak Limited, act as market makers that trade cryptocurrencies on the Binance US exchange. One area of focus for regulators is how Binance US disclosed to customers its links to the trading firms, the people say. On the website, Binance US says that affiliated market makers may trade on the exchange, though it doesn't name which firms might do so. The SEC requested information about the two entities from Binance US, which is Binance's US affiliate and is subject of an existing enforcement probe, the people said. Corporate documents from 2019 tie Changpeng Zhao, Binance's founder and chief executive officer, to the two trading firms, and former executives say that as of late last year, Mr. Zhao controlled both of them. A spokesman for Binance US, Zachary Tyndall, declined to comment on the SEC probe and any relationship with the two trading firms. Quote, Binance US is committed to upholding the highest standards of compliance, he said. A spokesman for Binance, Stephen Milton, said as a private company, it doesn't need to disclose details of its investors or corporate structure. However, that information is shared with regulators when requested. Mr. Milton said Mr. Zhao wasn't available for comment. Mr. Zhao is the majority owner of Binance and Binance US, the Wall Street Journal previously reported. Market makers are important actors in the trading world. They help smooth price fluctuations by continually buying and selling, even when markets are choppy. They get paid by collecting a small difference between the bid and offer price. The SEC has brought enforcement actions against trading venues that didn't disclose they had affiliates trading on their platforms. In 2015, Investment Technology Group Incorporated, which was later acquired by Virtue, paid $20 million and admitted wrongdoing, including that it operated a secret trading desk that interacted with orders sent to ITG's trading platform, known as a dark pool. The issue, said James Angel, a finance professor at Georgetown University's McDonough School of Business, is, quote, are you giving your affiliate some sort of unfair advantage? Do they get preferential access? Do they get to trade faster? Unlike market makers that trade regulated securities such as stocks or exchange-traded funds, those in cryptocurrency markets aren't regulated and their practices can vary widely, said Rob Catanello, the co-CEO of cryptocurrency market maker B2C2 Limited. Quote, there's a huge lack of standardization, he said. FTX, a Binance competitor, and Alameda Research, one of FTX's market makers, have the same founder, Sam Bankman-Fried. Mr. Bankman-Fried said while Alameda trades on FTX, quote, their volume is a very small fraction of overall exchange volume, and their account's access is the same as others. A spokesman for Coinbase Global Incorporated, another large cryptocurrency exchange, said that no market makers are affiliated with the company, its executives, or board of directors. To bring enforcement action against Binance's U.S. arm, the SEC would need to show that it has jurisdiction over some cryptocurrencies that Binance US has offered. The SEC says many digital coins are securities and thus fall under its supervision, while crypto firms say that regulators haven't proven which tokens are securities. Binance has its own digital coin, BNB, which was sold to the public in 2017 and is traded on Binance US and Binance. The Binance US spokesman, Mr. Tyndall, declined to comment on BNB. Mr. Milton, the business spokesman, said the exchange doesn't list any securities. The SEC sometimes begins and closes probes without making allegations of wrongdoing or taking enforcement action. The SEC originally sent a subpoena to Binance's U.S. arm in late 2020. The Wall Street Journal previously reported. It asked for information about who controls Binance, how it makes money, what disclosures it makes to customers, and whether trading on Binance US is independent from activity on the bigger global exchange, according to the subpoena, which was viewed by the Journal. The regulatory agency, whose mission is investor protection, has taken nearly 100 enforcement actions involving cryptocurrency. SEC Chairman Gary Gensler has said the crypto market is a, quote, wild west that needs formal rules to protect traders. Mr. Gensler has focused attention on cryptocurrency exchanges. Binance was founded in Shanghai in 2017 by Mr. Zhao, a Canadian-Chinese computer programmer, and has grown to process billions of dollars of cryptocurrency transactions a day. It built its operations with little or no regulatory oversight, creating its trading systems from scratch. The two trading firms being examined by the SEC, Sigma and Merit Peak, began trading cryptocurrencies on Binance US shortly after the exchange was launched in 2019. According to former executives, the former executives said Binance US's legal and compliance teams were worried that they didn't have a clear understanding of where the funds the two firms used to trade were coming from. Sigma executed all orders on Binance US in which users buy or sell a cryptocurrency at the current market price, the former executives said. Merit and other market makers handled orders that would only execute if the price of a cryptocurrency moved to a certain value, they added. Neither the Binance nor the Binance US spokesman commented on the two market makers or their relationship with Mr. Zhao. Mr. Zhao was listed as chairman of the board of directors of Sigma in a January 2019 Swiss incorporation document, although he was later replaced by another person with ties to Binance. In late 2019, Mr. Zhao, on behalf of Merit, signed a document approving an infusion of capital from Merit into Binance US in exchange for shares in the company. In the December 2020 subpoena, SEC subpoena, the SEC referred to Merit as a Binance entity. Okay, so very interesting. There's a lot to unpack here, and we're going to dive on in and see if we can't kind of hash and parse a lot of this out and make connections to some of these larger themes. So I think first up, it's worthwhile to note that a lot of what we're seeing here is the SEC trying to clamp down on this market manipulation through these trading firms that operate on Binance. So you've got, it's kind of like, what's the best way to describe this? A conflict of interest. I think that would be one good way to describe it. Here you've got CZ, Changpeng Zhao, who is the CEO and founder of Binance, but also operates or has a major stake in both of these trading firms that serve as market makers that actively trade on Binance. And so I think it's clear as day here that, I mean, just prima facie, based on the facial representation of what's going on, the most logical conclusion is that there is some sort of market manipulation going on with respect to how these firms, these trading firms, are operating on the platform of Binance, all three of which, both of the firms and Binance, are entities that are either owned or controlled or subsidiaries of CZ, right? And this plays back into the spot ETF, right? Because one of the main reasons that this spot ETF for Bitcoin is being kind of kicked down the road and hasn't been approved is because regulators are trying to eke out stuff just like this, right? They are trying to get a firm grasp and understanding as to who the major players are, what they're doing, and then provide some sort of transparency so that they could prevent things like this from happening. Because when you've got insiders that are pretty much manipulating these particular markets that directly affect the price of the derivative of the underlying asset, which would be Bitcoin, right? Then, I mean, that is ripe grounds for next level market manipulation. And so in order to list a spot ETF Bitcoin exchange, regulators really want to get this under control, right? I mean, it's kind of similar, I guess, to bring another analogy. It's kind of like what Robinhood is doing by front-running trades, all of their customers' trades to entities like Citadel or whatnot, even though apparently they're transparent with what they're doing, but it's one of those things where you're not paying trading fees on the Robinhood platform. So in essence, it's that old adage, you know, if you don't know who the product is, you are the product, right? They're using your data to run your trades and give your trading information to these larger trading firms, right? I think what's also interesting is the fact that if we see right here, they brought up the connections between FTX and Alameda Research and Sam Bankman-Fried. As we know, Binance and CZ, he was involved with the creation of FTX, although it split off, and then it just pretty much became SBF, or Sam Bankman-Fried's pet project, and then CZ went the way of Binance. But there is a similar sort of operation here where you have these subsidiaries or these entities like Alameda or these other trading firms like you have with CZ trading on their respective platforms, right? And so SBF came out and said, oh, it's a very small fraction of overall exchange volume and the account access is the same as others. But I don't know if that is the entire transparent truth of what's going on here, right? And then they mentioned Coinbase Global, right? Which it seems that of all of these different entities, of all of these different exchanges, they're the one that are trying to be most above board and engage directly with regulators to try to get some sort of clarity and play by the book, right? They just came out and said flat out that no market makers are affiliated with the company, its executives, or board of directors, which is good. I mean, that's more transparent. At least they're saying, hey, we have no direct affiliation with the company, executives, or the board. So there's that layer of separation. I mean, I think it's also very telling that when there were all these CeFi lending platforms that were operating, that still are operating, like Celcius or Voyager or BlockFi, Coinbase actually went to the SEC to seek some sort of guidance on it, and the SEC said, hey, if you do this, we're going to sue you. So they're very much, okay, let me look before I leap, not taking that alternate approach of, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission, right? I think another interesting buried lead here is Tether and the whole Tether issue. How does this play into it? Because I know that Tether has connections with both Binance and FTX, and that almost a vast majority of their trading volume is in terms of pairs, like a Bitcoin Tether pair or whatnot. It is the vast majority of these pairs are traded in Tether, right? So then that has another level of connection. Also, it's the issue of CZ dodging and ducking inquiries. As we said here, there was no comment from this guy. He's just kind of putting his lackeys out there to, kind of put some spin out into the ether. But I mean, this guy CZ, this is his MO. He has a history of jurisdiction hopping, trying to dodge any sort of jurisdictional enforcement by kind of operating as an amorphous ghost with no real home, in a sense. And this is a furtherance of this pattern and practice of activity. You could just look back to what happened with the CoinmarketCap class action lawsuit, where some Mexicans ended up trying to sue, or they did sue CZ and Binance over market manipulation because Binance owns CoinmarketCap, and they are pretty much pumping their bags, all of the BNB related coins, any coins that they have stake in their chain, they're pumping them and favoring those coins as opposed to all of the other coins. And the same issue arose. The plaintiffs in that case tried to serve CZ and they couldn't find him, right? So they tried to serve him via alternative means on Twitter, and the court's like, nope. And so CZ, as a individual defendant, is essentially going to get out of that lawsuit just because he's operating as an amorphous ghost without any sort of residency or home. And I think it's also interesting, the whole BNB coin situation, that if there were to be some sort of legal action in a court of law over this, as was stated in this article, for the SEC to have jurisdiction over Binance, they would need a hook in the form of a security, right? And so it's not clear which of these coins are securities. I think clearly the SEC has come out and stated that Bitcoin is not a security, Ethereum is not a security, but here would be the hook, would be BNB coin, right? The fact that it was sold to the public and it's currently traded on Binance US and Binance, that could be the hook in where the SEC could say, hey, BNB coin, this is a security. This is our hook to rope you in and get jurisdiction over you because you sold this thing, BNB coin, you issued it and people purchased it expecting profit from the work of others. So if you're going to do a Howey test analysis, I think it would, the Howey test would demonstrate that this coin, BNB, is a security. So I think that this would be the way that they would try to rope them in. So all in all, I think that this is a really interesting, telling development. I think that this story right here is bigger than a lot of people realize. I think that this is a pretty big deal, and I think it's just really in the infant stages of what is ultimately going to open up a giant can of worms with the SEC trying to eke out this level of manipulation and these types of practices, and it's going to set the foundation for a new level of precedence that we're going to see and a new level of regulation that we're going to see in this industry. Because, as Gensler even said, this is the Wild West. And when you've got this one guy, CZ, and he's operating the exchange, and then he's also pumping Lord knows how much capital into these two trading firms that are operating on the exchange, being able to front run and manipulate all of the trading that's going on there. I mean, you could see why, Gensler's going after it and probing it. So once again, all in all, very interesting stuff. I think this is going to end up being a pretty big deal. Yeah, on that note, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, please hit that like button. Also, subscribe to our channel. It would really help us out as we're seeking to grow and get this message and this knowledge out there. You can follow us on Twitter if you want. That'd be cool. Our handle is at CryptoBitlaw. And with that said, thanks again for watching this. We really appreciate your time. And we will see you all in the next video.